Okay. Hey guys, my name's Hab, and these are some short impressions on the Lorraine 40T, because quite frankly, I do not have enough experience in the tank yet to make a fully coherent review. Neither can the game. As you can see, the game thinks I'm clanless, the chat doesn't work, my friends list is gone, and the store is non-functional as well. That's probably because of the event coming up very, very soon, as you can see with the timer. But in case you didn't know this, I feel very sick, of course. I have a pretty strong stomachache, my head hurts like bitch, but hey, what can I do? Anyways, the Lorraine 40T. I got it for 5k gold on the Black Friday sales, as you may have noticed from the previous rambling video. And while I sometimes wish I got the Patriot instead, the Lorraine is still a very, very interesting tank. It isn't a tank for everyone, let me get that right out of the way. The Lorraine is very, very hard to play for 90% of the player base. I am included in that. I'm not trying to be in any way special, I just suck in it. But it is very interesting, it is challenging to play, and it does feel rewarding. So let's just take a quick look at those modules. So as you can see right off the bat, you don't have any armor. Do not expect to bounce anything at all. You should just pretend playing with this thing like you have very, very little health. Just think of every single shot that hits you as a death sentence, because, well, as an autoloader, and as a very fast autoloader, you need a lot of hit points for later on in the game, so that you can be an actual threat. But let's talk about the gun. The gun is actually pretty nice, I would say. Granted, the aim time isn't that great, but the dispersion is very nice. You have 4 shells in the magazine, and you have lots of pen. You can notice I'm using calibrated shells because vents don't make a single fucking thing on this tank. So 223 pen on AP, that's very nice. 272 is alright, that's perfectly usable. And 50 on HE, that's basically only for rears of some tanks and SP1Cs. You have 225 alpha because it's a 90mm gun, and you have 190 and 270. What's most important for you are the 225 and 190, because you're almost never gonna use the HE. For an autoloader, you also have some pretty decent gun depression at 8 degrees, but the elevation is legitimately horrid at just 9. I have played similar tanks like that. I have played through the entirety of the bad chat line, through the entirety of the 50B line. Both of those lines have some pretty bad gun elevation. The Lorraine is just the worst in that regard. And well, as you can see, the game just shat the bed. So while the game is like loading like this, I am just gonna talk about the rest of the gun, I suppose. 2.5 seconds in the interclip is not bad. It's actually pretty decent for the fact that you have those 4 shells, so it takes like, what, almost 10 seconds to get all of your shots out. Let's be generous and say 7.5, yeah? So 7.5 seconds, that is already quite a lot of time though. So you need almost 8 seconds of time on target, and that presents you as quite an easy target unless you like hide in cover during the interclip, which your mobility allows, by the way. What really makes this hard to play, in my opinion, is that magazine, because you have almost 21 seconds of reload time. And that is obscenely long, even for a tier 8 autoloader. The only other tier 8 autoloaders that I think are getting even close to that are the ML1. Legitimately, the ML1 is the only tank that I can think of right now, because the AMX 5100 in exchange has just a higher caliber. It has 310 alpha, and it's gonna punch a hole in the enemy tank. And that is perfectly justifiable. The ML1 has 320 alpha, but it also has worse accuracy now. Well, worse, I mean, you're still gonna frontline with the thing, so it doesn't really matter. And it has less penetration, of course. But this, we have pretty good penetration, decent alpha, 4 shells in exchange for a very, very long magazine reload time. So what is really hard for me is getting into a safe spot during my reload. What I tend to do is that when the enemy is relatively far away, because I play this thing at medium to long like range, I try to move in a little closer so that I can clip them more reliably, because the shell velocity, sometimes it just betrays me, that's why I use supercharge. So at medium to long range you can expect to miss some shots, and this thing can't really afford to miss them, because the damage output is just not that big. The turret, the turret doesn't even need a mention. What I should mention is that you have almost 1600 hit points on this thing, which is, very, very nice. You also have a very beefy engine, German one, but that allows you to become quite fast, 60 km per hour forwards, 23 reverse, and you have like 41 average kilometers per hour. What I mean by that is that you are very fast and you will turn fast. What you don't have is a whole lot of camouflage value, and you are not a light tank, so you are not gonna keep that camouflage on the move. So if you think you are relatively far away from an enemy tank, you should always keep in mind that his view range is very likely going to be over 250 meters, and there is the likelihood that that tank will probably spot you at that distance. So you have to be very careful with the movement, you have to be aware of the map and everything like that. At least you turn relatively well and you have pretty good terrain resistances as well. So other than that, for consumables I'm running the multi-purpose restoration pack, standard repair kit and the engine power boost, because even though I would settle for an automatic fire extinguisher or a first aid kit, this thing performs just fine, and that power boost helps it reach that top speed a little faster. Then for provisions, standard stuff, double food, 1 improved fuel. For ammunition, this is very important since it is an autoloader. I have seen so many people fuck this part up, and it is very simple to fix. Just listen to me, okay? When your autoloader has 4 shells, what you do is that you load your ammunition by multiplications of 4. So when you want to have full clips, what you do is load 28 AP, because that's 12 clips of AP. You're never gonna fire that in a game, don't worry. You're gonna fire 4 or 5 clips at most, at least 90% of the time. APCR, I actually only use 12 shots, because there aren't that many opportunities where you need to load APCR in this tank. You're gonna be flanking a lot. You're gonna see a lot of enemy sides and enemy rears. You are not gonna need APCR that much. And only 8 HE, I would actually go for 4 sometimes, but I tend to meet light tanks pretty often. So for those tanks it is actually decently worth it. So just remember, when you have a tank with 4 shells in a clip, just do 4, there we go, and do the rest for the other ammo. Because you have 48 total ammunition on the Lorraine. You don't even need 48. I would honestly say 30 would be enough for a tank like this. But as for equipment, calibrated shells, because obviously the improved vents don't do a whole lot. The reload will go down under 20 seconds, but only ever so slightly. That half a second is just not gonna save you. So I run calibrated shells, improved modules, because, well, let's be real, you do get a lot of module damage, but the defense system also makes a sense. Not because you get rammed often, or because you get ammo racked often. I used improved modules for that anyway. You do get your driver hit very often. The engine is at the back, there's no way that should be damaged, but your crew gets downed quite a lot. And then improved optics, even though the argument for camo is actually also kind of valid in this case, but I use the optics because then you have actually fairly decent view range for the tier. Supercharge, though that's my personal preference, I would actually recommend you to use the gun length drive, but I use supercharge myself. Improved assembly, obviously, and then the engine accelerator, just so I can go a little bit faster. Then the vertical stabilizer, even though the refined gun is also possible, but I use the stabilizer because you can fire on the move pretty often, and you will do that. The toolbox, just to repair stuff faster. The enhanced tracks, the only tank I see a reason for using the enhanced tracks on is the Dracula, and we are going to talk about the Dracula some other time. And then high-end consumables, because, well, the engine boost. like, consumable delivery system also makes a lot of sense in this case. So, let us try getting into a match. We'll see how it goes. I'll be amazed if we even get into a match in the current state of the server. Who knows? There we go. We're loaded in. Tier 8 mines, not a good map to actually display the strength of the Lorraine. Because I absolutely despise mines. I almost never aggressively push the hill, because it gets me killed 90% of the time. And looking at the enemy team, with that T49 they have there, I'm legit afraid of doing that. So what we are going to do is that we are going to be going near that hill or somewhere, and I mean, I don't think we're going to be loaded on time. That's one of the main disadvantages of this thing. Early encounters against the other enemy tanks are just, let's say they're annoying. Alright, that's one shot. Another shot. That is an interesting push on the enemy team's part. And that is a ricochet. What you should really do with a tank like this is get your shots to count. If you bounce way too many times, you will regret it later on. Just don't do anything stupid. That's quite difficult to say, seeing that I am driving this tank. So, do we have anything? No. Yup, that's a silly shot. That's another stupid shot. I shouldn't do these. I'm way too trigger happy right now. No. Alright. As long as we get rid of the Type 59, we have a map advantage already. Because we're just gonna have the high ground, you know. High ground always wins. I should have aimed that a bit more in. Yep. The entire clip went to waste. And just because you lose an entire clip, you already lose out on almost 800 damage. And that is a very, very big chunk in the autoloader terms. You do not want to do that, especially at a lower tier like this. What we are going to do is that we are going to get behind and bounce. I mean hit. The alpha is relatively inconsistent on this thing, so be prepared for that. Alright, nice. Let's get back before the ML comes in. And we are almost done with this match. We are almost loaded again. And you may have noticed that I never used the engine boost, because quite frankly, I did not see a use for it at the moment. Interesting placement from the ML. I think he's trying to hit me. The FCM may hit me. May or may not. But it seems the Centurion was smacked instead. What we are going to do is that we are going to push up on this Tiger too. Maybe he'll get killed before that happens though. Yep, there we go. Alright, nice. That's the Lorraine down. And let's use the engine boost and try to save the Centurion before the ammo gets him. Or, you know, well, that happens. So let us boost our way. Nice. Nice, nice. There we go. As you can see, we're firing a lot on the move. That's kind of important for a tank like this. Nice job. Emil's basically screwed at this point. There's nothing much I can do to him. And we are done. Decent match. I think it kind of shows how you should play the Lorraine, or how I played the Lorraine. Although I was not very coherent, I'm afraid. Regardless, it's pretty decent damage for the Lorraine. If I didn't mess up that one entire clip, I think we would have had around 3k. But that's how the cookie crumbles, and that's how bad I aim. Nice. 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 Alright. So, that has been it from me. My name is Hab. If you somehow liked these impressions, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, whatever. And I will catch you all guys later, hopefully on an actual review. Bye-bye.